I am Jason Abraham, the Shadow Teacher 33, and I talk about great awakenings on this channel. Awakenings of consciousness, both on an individual and a collective level. I talk about human potential. I talk about the highest good of a human soul wanting to express itself, wanting to break through the old programs of trauma, the old identity that this dense material human form is clinging to. And once again, this is happening on an individual and a collective level. And this process, again, of something higher wanting to be born through you in a human experience is painful. And the mechanism of transformation starts with suffering. Starts with suffering to what one believes one is, suffering to ways of being that are not serving highest good, not serving states of peace and joy within us. And for example, someone who may identify as an empath, someone who just picks up on all the energy in a room, picks up on all the energy that's around them, and has found their value in making others feel happy around them, making others feel safe, and is taking on the karma of all those around them. This brings suffering for that empath. This brings suffering for that individual. And with suffering comes this diminished version of the self. So some of the karmic lessons here are setting boundaries, setting values, understanding what one's own values are and being able to put those values over those around them and stand for them. Knowing who to let in, knowing who to push away, knowing who to offer that gift of empathy to and in what degree. This is one of the karmic lessons, or some of the karmic lessons of an empath. Others may be caught in the program of the Matrix, in the belief that money is the be-all, end-all in this life. Money is the be-all, end-all, and happiness. And those who are in this construct are in the spell of one of the great control systems of the Matrix. Now, money, again, is very relevant. Having a good relationship with money and the flow of money and what we put our money towards and what money represents to us, what we want to do with that energy flow. These are all important lessons of consciousness. But those who are in the chase for money in and of itself are stuck in this archetype of a prostitute. And what they find is they are always willing to alter something they value one day to something different if they believe it's going to bring them more money. And there's never any congruence or coherence in this individual and those who are chasing money above anything else. And this archetype of the prostitute is exhausting. It is draining. And at some point, those who are in this archetype are going to face extreme suffering from that. So there's a call, again, for understanding sustainable values, understanding values that are out of love from the heart. I talk about this concept of congruence of our words, our actions, and our thoughts, or words, thoughts, and deeds. And when we are clear on our values, our words, our thoughts, and deeds come into coherence, we are able to know what we stand for, know what we're going to say yes to, know what we're going to say no to. know who we are going to say yes to, know who we're going to say no to. We're going to strengthen our own superpower of being able to see through deception, or see through those who are misaligned in their values, or unclear, and have a greater understanding on how to navigate and deal with those individuals. And once again, this is happening on individual and collective levels. This shift that comes from suffering and discomfort, this calling to understand our values, this calling to understand the karma of our values. And if we are experiencing suffering, being willing to be open to ask, what do I truly value? What are my principles that are going to guide my life so that something greater can move through? Both these archetypes, again, of those, the prostitute, or that one who is constantly whoring themselves out because they value money above all else, and another, a people pleaser, one who is out there valuing the approval of others and making people happy at the expense of themselves. These are kind of two extremes, one extreme giving and the other extreme consumption, neither sustainable. When, again, the suffering shows up, the higher self is essentially just wanting to break through and wanting to guide these souls to what they truly value. And when we're able to get into these values that are based in love versus approval and status from the matrix, that's another similarity. Again, the people pleaser and those who are seeking money for the sake of itself. These are simply ways of getting approval from the matrix. When people are able to get through that, then we have sustainable values. We have values that we can say yes to, and values that we're willing to stand for, even when it may not be a popular thing to do. And that clarity on values, again, when we can be clear and congruent in what we stand for and what we say yes to and what we say no to, this opens us up to experiencing the frequencies of peace and joy within our hearts, knowing that we're doing the right thing, knowing that we are in alignment. And right now, that is what's happening. That's what many are being called to, is to find this new alignment within ourselves so something great can move through us. So with that being said, I'm going to end this transmission. Be strong, be well, and know that suffering, if we're experiencing suffering, if we're experiencing old identities wanting to shed, this is the first step, first process of shedding skin to allow something beautiful to be born through you, and this is the first step of awakening to a greater potential that's on the way. I will see you on the other side, my friends. Be well.